I am reading from this book, Adonis, Sufism and Surrealism. This is page 130 in the chapter, The Aesthetic Dimension. The writings of Sufis, such as al-Nafari, al-Tawhidi, and Ibn Arabi, shed light on three characteristics of this school of writing, which was the force behind the change in Arab poetical writing. First, poetry is not a linguistic game in which words are ornamental and decorative tools and play no active or ideative role. On the contrary, poetry is something that transcends the form. It is emotion and action at the same time. It is the way the human being feels and thinks, the way he understands things, and the way he relates to them. It is a kind of consciousness, and because of that, it is, by necessity, a kind of thought. As matter or meaning converge in the poem, emotions and meaning are also drawn together. Second, what we call external, material, or natural reality is only one aspect of existence, and it's most restricted. What we call life or existence has a broader scope. Poets who limit their interest and their expression to the external aspect are ultimately only interested in what they are presenting to everyone, and therefore express only what everyone knows. Their position can be traced back to naturalism, which sees only the branches, leaves, and fruit of a tree, rather than the internal movement of its roots, sap, and growth. However, what is behind nature is only another part of nature. Third, what we call truth does not exist in the world of phenomena apart from in its scientific conventional form. The truth, on the contrary, is mystery, hidden inside things, in their concealed world. Man is able to reach it only with specific knowledge, which is neither conventional nor scientific. Opposite the visible in the world arises the invisible, and opposite the objective in the world arises the subjective. However, going beyond the formal game, external reality and natural overt appearances demand a radical change in the ways of acquiring knowledge, which will bring about complete emancipation from the stranglehold of the social, religious, political establishment and what it has written or marginalized, and will lead to the freeing up of the internal subjective dynamic of the world with its emotions and desires and dreams, with its unconscious natural instincts and aspirations, and things it suppresses, and everything that the culture of the body requires, which goes beyond the culture of the spirit in its religious forms in particular. If the apparent culture, as defined by the socio-political religious establishment, is limited, and it is easy to limit it, then the inner culture is not limited, and it is difficult to limit it. If the language that explains the former is limited and restrictive, like it, then the language that explains the latter is not limited and escapes any form of limitation. Thus we name the first language logical, direct, clear, and we name the second affective, obscure, figurative. The first computes and represents things, and the second awakens and enriches them. Sufi writing is the experience of attaining the absolute, and it is what we find among the great creators in all ages. Myth and symbol are two forms that direct us toward greater depths and broader horizons, and a more certain search for meaning. They are one of the ways of returning to the collective unconscious, to what goes beyond the individual, to human memory and its fables, to the past as a kind of unconsciousness. They are all a symbol which goes beyond the relative to the absolute. To explain it poetically, Ideas do not appear by themselves, as in philosophy, but appear only in their relationships with what is within them. Symbol and myth are the meeting point between the apparent and the concealed, the visible and the invisible. They are therefore the point of illumination, the dynamic center, which is diffused in all directions. At the same time, they are expressions of different levels of all kinds of reality. This is what allows the poet not only to discover what we do not know, but also to recreate what we know, since he links it with the movement of the unknown and the unending. On this level, poetry becomes knowledge.